funny, Vincent Tong, who's the voice actor for Brad, actually looks a lot like him, in my opinion. Yeah, like if he dyed his hair blue, it'd be perfect. He could have just cosplayed it super easily.
Can I tell you a Vincent Tong story?
Please do, yeah.
If you follow me on Twitter, you've already seen this, but at the Minneapolis convention, I had him as my desktop, Vincent Tong, his headshot. And on the plane on the way home, I was working, and the old guy next to me, he's like, "It's a good-looking guy. Is that your boyfriend?" And I'm like, I should say yes, because that's so much easier to explain.
Yeah, I guess that would kind of be a long story.
Yeah. See, there's ponies.
Yeah.
There's Brad.
Step one, ponies, but to even get to that step, it's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
My voice is like super blown out from the concert last night, by the way, so apologies in advance. How many of you were there? Yeah, awesome. Come tonight as well.
What are you guys doing here at 10 o'clock in the morning? Good question. It's 7 o'clock for me, for my body clock, so.
Same.
Sure to be an entertaining panel. We good? Is everybody in?
I think just about. Yeah, sure. All right, so in case it wasn't obvious enough, this is M.A. Larson. Let's give him a warm welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning. And we were going to kind of see what you guys wanted to see in this panel. We could either kind of jump straight into a Q&A or...
Well, that's a much longer panel.
No, that's tomorrow. You missed it.
Can I give you two options and you can kind of vote?
Yeah.
So we can just do that. Just sit here and, yeah, basically. Are there any kids here? Or some of you may have seen this. I've done this panel before at other conventions, but I have kind of a presentation about how the Cutie Mark Chronicles went from premise to air, with like notes and script drafts and stuff like that, and I can show you that if you want, with a Q&A at the end.
Yeah. All right, so just to get it official, who wants to go straight to Q&A? Just hands up. Okay, we're doing the breakdown. That's
Oh, really?
a great episode, too.
I'm actually surprised. So have you seen it before? You can go.
No spoilers.
Yeah. I apologize, it's the same one I've done at other conventions. I've never done it at BronyCon, so. Has anybody else seen it before? Oh, I'm sorry, you guys. Well, that's what you get. Yeah, sorry. It's gonna be exactly the same. All right, well, let's go. So, let me open my materials. It's a bit small, but you can see that, right? I love it. So, we have a premise document. Just went really small. So you can see the first one, there's Cutie Mark Chronicles. Look how long it is. It's like 3 sentences long. Lauren Faust and Robert Renzetti, who was the story editor in season 1, would write these up. We would all come up with ideas. They would write the ones they liked best into these premises, submit them to Hasbro. Hasbro would say yes or no. 2 of these became episodes. Apple Bonk season became obviously Apple Buck. And then this one down here, Bring Out the Thunder, never got made. Please. 2 out of 3 is an unbelievable ratio. So I'm going to read some of the stuff to you. I'm not sure if you can all read it, but this is what we had to go on with Cutie Mark Chronicles. Waking up yet another morning without her Cutie Mark, Appleseed just can't figure out what it is she's doing wrong. So she goes out on a research mission to find out just what you have to do to convince the powers that be that you're ready for your Cutie Mark. To find out, Appleseed spends the day asking the ponies to relay to her what happened the day they earned their Cutie Marks in a series of reminiscing flashbacks, some exciting, some funny, and some sentimental. We learned too. So that is the episode, right? That is what it ended up being. Has everybody seen that episode? Everybody?
Yeah, so why is it Appleseed?
This is one of the things I found the most fascinating, putting this together. This was the 23rd episode of the first season, so it was at the end. And there was stuff like that was still not figured out. She was called Appleseed, she was not Apple Bloom at that point. There were no Crusaders, she was the only one. Yeah, there's tons of stuff even this late in the season that was being figured out, and you'll see more of it later on.
That would have been very different.
Pinky's name is spelled, differently here. And it was Applebonk and hadn't yet switched it. And this is the other thing: is Applebonk and Applejack would hit the trees with their head. Seriously, but Hasbro was like, nope, we're not doing it. Kids are not going to do
To
too
imitate them. Oh man.
And Bring on the Thunder, again, it's an Appleseed one, so Lauren had a thing for her. But they were called the Blue Thunders, not the Wonderbolts. There you go. So all this stuff was in flux. And that was one of my favorite things about putting this together, is just seeing how everything kind of shaped. This episode, I didn't realize that I put it together, but this is the episode where Scootaloo got her personality. Because she didn't really have any kind of distinctive things that she could fly. But her love of Rainbow Dash came directly out of notes on this episode.
Best CMC.
So here's an email from me to Rob and Lauren. And this one, it says Up Up on top. That was Sonic Rainboom. It was originally called Up Up and Dismay. I did not do any of these titles. So this email, I had the second draft of Sonic Rainboom and the first draft of the Cutie Mark Chronicles outline, submitting them both at the same time. So I was kind of working on the end of Sonic Rainboom, starting Cutie Mark Chronicles at the same time. And what happens is I get that premise that was approved, a little paragraph, and then I get an email saying, come in on this date to Hasbro, we're going to break the story down. So it was me, Rob, and Lauren. We sit in a room with no windows, back in a little closet of the Pound Puppies area, where they stack chairs. I'm not joking. There's a horrible little windowless room. And break down the episode. So you have two act breaks where the commercials fall. You have to know have a rough idea what the moral is going to be, who the episode is about. And so we sat there like, how are we going to do this? Well, we use the Crusaders as the wraparound story. I'm just reading this to myself. So this is what I said to them in Sonic Rainboom. There was a note about the line where Fluttershy bursts in cheering and says, was that too loud? So I moved it to the beginning of the episode anyways. Sorry, I'm reminiscing.
Is it nostalgic for you?
It is. I love both of these episodes. I love the first season of the show. It was so fun. That was the other thing. I was writing these episodes before I'd ever seen a second of animation. I'd never heard any of the voice actors. I didn't know anything about the show except a couple of scripts that I had to look at. So there you go. So there, I submit that, and I'll show you the outline now. We put note cards on the wall, right, to break down the actual structure of the episode. Pinkie Pie's story here, random rarities here. I take those home, I type it up into this outline. It's just a basic Word document. 500%. No. There we go. They're all about 5 pages long. Can I make this bigger? You can see that? Can you see it? Is it good enough? Good. I'll read it to you anyways. So it's just a 5-page document. The teaser is the part that happens before the opening title music. And we didn't have one, so I made one up. And in this case, it was tightrope walkers. As the others sit up painfully, she says, well, I guess we're not meant to be tightrope walkers. I don't know why. Then we go to Act 1, and you can see here I highlighted Scootaloo insists they start with the coolest pony in Ponyville, Rainbow Dash. So the reason that kind of happened was to give the episode something to drive it. You know, the character has to want something for you to have an episode. And this is an episode where you're just saying, when I was young, I got my cutie mark this way, so there's nothing driving it. So this whole Scootaloo loves Rainbow Dash thing was a device to follow the Crusaders through town.
See, that's interesting, because that being one of the first episodes to have Scootaloo in it,
Yeah.
I see what you're saying about how that kind of sets her personality
Exactly.
for the rest of it. If it had been in a different order, it might be different.
That's right. Yeah, you can see all through this how the personalities are kind of emerging, and everything was in flux, and we had a lot of freedom to do that. It really defined Scootaloo, her idolization of Rainbow Dash, and it came out of this. It came out of needing something to drive the story.
We have a hand raised over there.
Yes. No, that was before Okay, she's saying in that in premise, it was Appleseed and there's no Crusaders, but by this point, it is the Crusaders, and she's Apple Bloom. Somewhere between them, Lauren decided that was the thing. So I didn't have anything to do with that. When I came into this meeting, it was the Crusaders. They all had names. They had already been in other episodes. They'd already written Call of the Cutie, and I think that's the one where they become the Crusaders, right? So that had already been broken down. So she was using that in this one.
Yeah, no, this room was great for inspiration.
Yeah, it was really sad. Power Puppies had an entire area with like big art walls and everything, and My Little Pony still to this day has nothing. We were in a closet in the back. I think Power Puppies, which is canceled, probably still has that whole area.
You have at least 2 closets now, at least,
Yeah,
right?
no.
Okay.
Transformers has the entire second floor. My Little Pony has nothing. So here's Applejack's story. Applejack packs up her things and heads out to live with her aunt and uncle in Philadelphia. That changed for some reason to Manhattan, I don't know why. The tropes were enormous and so are the possibilities. So a line like that was never intended to be in the episode. This is a trick that I use when I'm writing. I like to make whoever's reading it, I like to distract them. Like if I can make Lauren laugh when she's reading this, maybe she'll forget that she had a note about something. It's a really useful skill if you're a writer. Try to make the person reading it laugh. So the tropes are enormous and so are the possibilities. It's just to give you the flavor of what Applejack's experiencing, but it was never intended to be in the episode, but then it actually is, I think, right in the voiceover. I think she actually does say that. Applejack does her best to fit in, disguising her country accent with a posh one, spending all her money on a designer saddle. She even makes some new friends, but the big city lifestyle soon starts to take its toll. As a morning pony used to waking up with the roosters, the late night partying wears her out. She also misses eating plain old country food. All she ever gets in the big city are seared baby carrot peels and a barley and wild oat reduction. Things like that. So I'm showing you this because that's actually really bad writing. That is, if somebody gave me this outline and told me to write a script off that, I'd be so mad. Because that doesn't tell you what the scene looks like. It doesn't tell you what you're actually going to see on screen. So I kind of shot myself in the foot by writing it like that, because then I have to refigure it out when I'm actually writing the scene. So anyways, yeah, there's some bad writing. Fluttershy, as a filly, had awkwardly long legs, so that was there from the beginning. Lauren always wanted her to kind of look like that.
Spindly.
Yes, and that was Lauren. Lauren was really long and gangly when she was younger, so she wanted Fluttershy to be like that. And then, while she's telling her story, the filly version of Rainbow Dash steps in and Scootaloo interrupts the story to cheer. You can see it's all layered in there that she's much like loves Rainbow Dash. And here's, it says Act 2, so now we're about to go to the first commercial break. They zoom out of the starting gate, knocking Fluttershy right out of the clouds. She plummets toward the ground below. Like someone who can't swim falling into a pool, Fluttershy flails as she tries to flap her wings, but it's not working, she can't fly. That's basically what it ended up being. But it's also kind of a cheat because, come on, she can die.
Yes, and the whole character is just erased from the timeline.
She's telling the story, and it's like, is she gonna die in this flashback? Exactly, yeah, it's like Sixth Sense, that's right. So, whatever, who cares? You need a commercial break, whatever. False drama, that's fine. It's still a good episode. So now we're into Fluttershy's story. She's just been rescued by the butterflies. She starts to sing a girly song about all the things she's never seen before, the grass. The grass.
That's the note that Daniel Ingram gets, make it a girly song.
Again, I'm trying to make Lauren laugh here. Nobody sees it. At this stage, nobody's going to see this except for Lauren and Rob, and I know that. So sometimes I'll put curse words in to make them laugh, because I know it's not actually going to go to Hasbro yet. Can we wait on the questions till the end? Do you mind? Is that cool?
Yeah.
Don't forget them. We'll start with those guys. And somebody keep an eye on the clock. I'm going to have to speed through some of this. Okay, so the grass and the trees and the streams and best of all the animals. The song turns into an over-the-top, magical, glittery silliness with Fluttershy and the animals dancing together when, kaboom, massive explosion knocks them over like bowling pins. So again, this is very early stage of the episode writing process, and that's basically what it ended up being. Into Rarity's story. Rarity says she always knew she wanted to be a designer, which is why it's so strange that she just couldn't seem to get her cutie mark. She understands what the Crusaders are going through, that because she too tried everything. She studied all the top pony designers, learned their techniques, practiced night and day, still no cutie mark. I don't know why I pointed that out. And there it is, a big dumb rock. Again, that was never intended to be in the episode, but it ended up being in the episode. Here in Twilight's story, she starts by levitating dragon eggs, and then in parentheses it says Spike perhaps. So that's like a conversation between me and Lauren. It's something I thought of while I was writing, oh, what if it's Spike? And then I'm kind of asking Lauren, should it be Spike? Because after that first day in that windowless room, we never see each other again. And it's all email after that. So we talk to each other through these documents, and you'll see the one they sent back to me, there's a whole conversation in it. Princess Celestia School for Gifted Young Unicorns. I'm basically just trying to show you how from the very beginning a lot of this stuff did not change and went all the way through. And here's the Act 2 commercial break. With her parents, the faculty, and Princess Celestia herself watching, Twilight Sparkle freezes up. Disaster. And again, like, is she gonna fail? The whole premise of the show is that her teacher Celestia sends her to Pony League. Anyways, false drama. Here we are with Pinkie Pie. So the Pinkie Pie story was interesting because we didn't actually figure it out. So the whole rock farm thing was just something I was like, what's the opposite of Pinkie Pie for her childhood to be? And I put in a rock farm, I was like, this, and Lauren liked it.
So a lot of these concepts we're not used to were you're doing.
Some, I mean, it was a beautiful creative situation because Lauren created this unbelievable world. It's the greatest show Bible I've ever seen. With Battlestar Galactica, those two are both incredible. It really is awesome. It's 80 pages long. It has all this artwork. She had everything figured out from the ponies controlling the weather, all that stuff. So she created this incredible framework, and then she gave us all kinds of freedom to do stuff like that, like what's Pinkie's backstory? She works at a rock farm. And I have to say, if I tried to do that now on season 5, 6, 7, no way. They would say, what do they do there? What are they growing? Why is it a farm? They would like note it to death.
What kind of rocks?
It wouldn't exist anymore, yeah. Hasbro and Lauren in the early days were just like, cool, rock farm. So in here, there's no laughter, there's no joy, there's no smiling, there are only rocks. Again, never intended to be in the episode, got into the episode. Pinkie has an unruly bush of a mane. Every morning her mother painfully brushes it out in a vain attempt to control her. So again, these are just little things that never made it into the episode, but it gives you the flavor of what the story is gonna be. This one I like because you all remember that iconic image of her mouth going like this and her eyes going like this. On page it says, at first Pinkie's worried that her plan backfired, but then slowly, oh no, this is the wrong part, never mind, let's get back. Sorry. This is the end of the episode after they realize they've all seen the same Sonic Rainbow. The ponies all hug and share a dorky, heartfelt moment. Realizing for the first time they've had a special connection since before they even met. And yes, BFFs forever was my mistake. Best friends forever, forever. That was my mistake from the beginning.
Automated television machine.
Yeah, exactly. Dear Princess, today I learned something about friendship I'd never realized before. Every pony has a special connection with their friends that she may not even know at that time. If you're feeling lonely and you're still searching for your true friends, just look up in the sky. Who knows, even if you haven't met them yet, maybe you and your best friends are all looking at the same rainbow. Basically what it ended up being, right? I know, I love that one. I love this moral. It's so cheesy, but it's great. Now, sorry, let me move this.
Don't apologize for Brad's face.
There's another email. So this is from me to Rob and Angela, who worked at, it was called Studio B at the time, now it's AHX. She was like the producer, kind of coordinated everything. Here's my second draft. I'm not sure if the teaser works, but I think it addresses SMP. SMP is standards and practices. They're the ones who say you can't hit trees with your head, that kind of thing. So I put a box around this because this is me saying back to them, I wasn't really sure what to do here. They asked for me to call out the cutie marks. In other words, to say Fluttershy's butterflies, cutie mark appears. And I said, calling out their cutie marks throughout the outline. I put in what I think they are, but I'm not sure if some of them have changed, so definitely double check this. At the 23rd episode, out of 26, we didn't know what the cutie marks were. It was still being figured out. which is crazy to me, but that's how long the stretch it is between animation and writing and airing and all that.
Well, let's see, it was October 2010 when it aired. So when was like the first kind of step to get it?
Well, this email was sent in February of 2010, and this is
Okay.
one of the last episodes of the season. So, I don't know if that tells you anything.
No, yeah, for sure. It's a long process.
I'm not sure when this episode aired, but okay. So then I submit that outline I just showed you to Rob and Lauren. They send it back to me with their notes. So we do a draft together before it ever goes to Hasbro. And this is what I get back. Yeah. So this is what I was saying, where we have a conversation together. All this stuff over here is how we talk to each other. And this looks bad, but it's not. It's just deleted. It's just all these words over here is just stuff I deleted, I cut, and it's the teaser because we're not doing tightrope walking. I didn't highlight this stuff. I did. So Rob's comments are in purple, and Lauren's are in green, and mine is blue, and we kind of chat to each other. So Rob says this whole scenario is great and probably way too dangerous for Hasbro to approve. S&P, standards and practices, will see it as imitatable. Maybe if they strung the rope between a barn and a silo with hay underneath. Lauren, so he's asking her what she thinks. She says, even with the hay below, they'll say it's imitatable. Darn, because it's funny. Gotta come up with something in the same vein that a kid could never have the opportunity to throw together. Shooting out of canyons, lion taming. Didn't become either of those either. Yeah, so it became ziplining, and Spike told the Crusaders to try it, which I thought was a cool little detail. It's like an inner life for Spike that when we don't see him, he's on zipliner.
That's what fan fiction is for.
Exactly. So Lauren read this and it sparked an idea in her. So she says they should be her Aunt and Uncle Orange, apples and oranges, or is that too silly? So she just thought of that while she was reading it, and it was funny, so they became her Aunt and Uncle Orange. Here's why it changed to Manhattan. Lauren says, I was thinking about this, and Philadelphia doesn't have the same metropolitan association as Manhattan, so let's use Manhattan. So she just thought it sounded more in line with that kind of big city story. Ooh, I didn't even realize this was here. All these people are like, how old are the ponies? She's Applejack, maybe too little for late night parties. She's like 9 or 10, although this is the flashback, so. Anyways, never mind.
That's good. Helps, yeah.
Yeah, I guess we could. Yeah. I'm sure someone in here knows has this all figured out. So in terms of Fluttershy being long and gangly, Lauren says you don't need to put this in outline, but it could be funny in contrast to Fluttershy's tallness to make Rainbow Dash unusually small for her age. And she is, so she gets a little Napoleon complex. None of this is all that interesting. Sorry, I don't have my notes with me. Oh, Rob here says, so this is Scootaloo covered in rare use fabric. She shakes it off, she can't take it anymore. And Rob's comment is, why is Rainbow Dash's story going to be different? So he's pushing me even more Scootaloo love. Like, why is Scootaloo so obsessed with finding Rainbow Dash's story? So his notes drove it to be even more of that kind of character for her. So that's where I put in answer to his question, why is hers going to be different, I put in, these stories are all about finding who you really are and boring things like that. We need
that's
action.
not important at all.
Yeah, we need action, we need Rainbow Dash, and that ended up being the episode. So that was a direct response to Rob's note. Okay, so there's no laughter, there's no joy, there's no smiling, there are only rocks. Lauren says, ha ha ha.
That's a good sign.
Exactly, 4 exclamation points. Lauren never does that. So I was like, yeah. That's awesome. And that's probably why that exact line ended up in the episode. Sorry, you guys, I'm just reading all this.
That is interesting, though. It's like telephone almost. It's
Yeah.
some lines that are
Yeah.
significant enough that they'll make it word for word into the script.
It's never even intended to be that way, but it just kind of, people respond to it, and you're like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
maybe I'll just put it directly in.
It's immersion. It's cool.
Lauren says, this is at the end where it's all being really cheesy. She says, Apple Bloom and Sweetie Belle are pretty girly. Maybe they do a cutesy awe, and Scootaloo finishes it with Give Me a Break. So this is Lauren was a bit concerned that this was super, super cheesy. So she wanted to kind of undercut it by Scootaloo saying that. It becomes her saying, like, how about another song? And Scootaloo's like, no. Same idea, she's undercutting the sappiness of it. See, yeah, her very last note here. If we treat this as narration over some girly, sappy visuals and rainbows, it might be funny to hear out of nowhere Scootaloo all grossed out, smashing the sappiness again. So, you know, she wanted to undercut that, which is always a good thing to do. Hi, Brad.
See, there's another example of Scootaloo's personality getting
Exactly.
advanced.
Once again, using her to undercut the sappiness defines her.
And I like that it's not because, hey, we need to sit down and get a personality for Scootaloo.
Exactly.
Here's the purpose it served at this moment.
Yep, it comes into the necessity of this particular episode.
Just curious to relate.
So, is this my favorite one of all time? Yes. Yes, this is my favorite email I've ever gotten, I think. Because this is the email from Hasbro to me. No, sorry, this is from Rob to me and Lauren with Hasbro's notes on the outline to go to script. Look at how long it is. It says they understand why we had our act breaks in the middle of flashbacks, but are wondering whether we might want to cut outside of the stories to see the creators' reaction to the drama before going to commercial. We didn't end up doing that, but it was an idea they had, and we just, like, no, we don't need to do that.
You mean like jumping back out of the flashback?
Yeah, instead of Fluttershy coming back to the Crusaders going, it's unnecessary. Either way, it's false drama, so who cares? And then they say some concern that Scootaloo's negative reaction at the end of the show did not seem too sour. They were reading it as if the Crusaders left the scene with some negative attitude. We assured them that only Scootaloo goes negative, and that they probably don't leave before we cut the scene and cleared to go to script. So Hasbro's note is like, maybe keep an eye on this as you're writing it. And then I'm ready to go to script. It was unbelievable. In contrast, so the Cutie Map, the 5th season premiere, Starlight Glimmer, granted it was a 2-part episode, but when I printed the notes out on the second draft, this is not even the draft yet. On the second draft, which you're supposed to be fine-tuning, the notes were 17 pages long. So that'll show you how things have changed on the show. When you start letting all these cooks into the kitchen, they all have something to say. So there you go. These were the glory days when we actually could say what we wanted to say. Now here's what a script looks like. We use a program called Final Draft, which is kind of the industry standard screenwriting software.
I don't think he's here this week.
Have you guys all seen the screenplay before? Has anybody? Some of you? They're weird looking. They're all written in Courier, which is this font here. It's like an old typewriter font. And, you know, this right here is called a slug line. Exterior, treetops, day. They all start exterior, interior. It tells you where you are, and if it's day, night, morning, whatever. And that just starts the scene. And then this is all the action. This is the character. And then anything in parentheses is kind of how they deliver the line. It says for the actors to look at. And then the dialogue is here. So the formatting is very standard. This is what every script looks like. So I highlighted this. Sweetie Belle shivering. She says, "Are you sure about this, Scootaloo? I've never even heard of a pony ziplining before." So it became ziplining now, between the outline of this. Scootaloo cracks her neck and thumps her helmet for luck. "Neither have I." She shoves Apple Bloom off. Apple Bloom, ah! Scootaloo steps to the edge and strikes a dramatic pose. "'Tis a far, far better thing I do," and then she falls off. So here's an example of somebody cutting my Dickens reference. I know, I try to like keep the show literary. Cut it, just cut it.
Now that's an interesting concept of never having heard of pony ziplining. If your dominant species is ponies, then who's doing all the ziplining?
Well, dragons clearly zipline. We established that. Here's another line that got cut. Sweetie Belle says, "Oh no, no thumbs." She tries to grab the thing, but she doesn't have any thumbs. And this is before I knew that Lauren was like, never reference humanity in any way. I'll show you her note on that later. So then, fade out at the end of the teaser, main titles, and then we start Act 1, fade in, and then we're straight into the episode. I'm just skipping a lot of this because there's a lot. I'm going to go to the highlights. Although, some of these. See this little box with the exclamation point? That's called a script note. And this is how we talk to each other here. You can open it up and it has the notes inside of it. I'm going to have to look at my sheet. Sorry, you guys. Because I don't want to miss any of the script notes. There's some funny ones.
And what is this software again?
It's called Final Draft.
Final Draft.
It formats it all for you. You hit tab and it goes straight over to character. You hit return and it goes straight to dialogue. It's really easy to use. It's great. So, okay, Scootaloo is always a thrill seek. Sorry, you guys are seeing my notes now. No thumbs joke. Okay, here's the script note. Mid 3. Okay, here. Scootaloo. So these script notes are Rob and Lauren talking to me. So Rob's, unless it says L, which would be, or no, you can tell when it's Lauren, but this is Rob. Rob says, I don't think we've ever touched on Scootaloo's hero worship of Rainbow Dash before. Can we billboard this a bit more? So there you go. He's still pushing that character trait that the script is. Okay, so this one I love. This is my description of Big Macintosh. A younger and more heartthrobbing version of Big Macintosh shows a younger and more prissy version of Applejack, the proper technique for apple bucking. She's disinterested, hiding under a parasol to keep the sun away. So my version of pre-Cutie Mark Applejack was basically Rarity. And it's kind of garbage writing because there's no such thing as a more heartthrobby Big Macintosh.
It's true. Can't be done. So that's interesting. It almost sounds like she would have fit in with her aunt and uncle.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. So it didn't really work, actually, in that sense. Big Macintosh watches with amusement as his straight little sister runs in circles because the horseflies come at her. I didn't want to spend my life on a muddy old apple farm. The oranges. So this is a first draft, so this is before I've got any kind of notes. Aunt Orange, Uncle Orange, thank you all so much for letting me stay. And Aunt Orange has a posh accent. Y'all, isn't she just the living end? And Uncle Orange, and that dusty old saddle, imagine that. Come inside, dear, we'll have you acting like a true Manhattanite in no time. That's pretty much what I heard. It didn't change much, but they were always kind of like that. Which is, again, it's really fun for me. It's not being, like, micromanaged, like certain other seasons. The thing is, this is my personal philosophy, and as soon as you ask why something's funny, it's never going to be funny again. So you just cut it. The second I get a note on a joke, I just cut it, because there's no way to explain why it's funny. So either it is or it isn't. Which is why I said, well, what's the rock farm? And I would have just cut that. I wouldn't even bother trying to fight that fight. So,
Then we wouldn't have mod pie or anything.
yeah, exactly. The first two things that die when you start over-noting something is comedy and charm. And this show has so much charm in the early seasons, and a lot of it gets killed by all these excessive notes. Sorry, it's my rant. Okay, cool. No, that's good. So here's an Applejack line I like that got cut. I don't know what it is, we'll see. Okay, so this is for the dinner party. She says, well, darling, there are two things a pony never discusses, politics and her age. I like that line, but this is a tough episode because it's 6 stories plus a wraparound story in 22 minutes, so the lots gets cut for time. There's just no time to do all this. That's a really easy line to cut. I don't know if they recorded it or not, but I like that line. I can't believe I'm so hungry I could eat a. I can't believe that got into the show, but it did. This is one of those things I probably put in thinking it was going to get cut. That's another technique you can use. You can put in things that are intentionally bad or you know are going to get cut so that whoever's giving notes feels like I did my job.
Decoys.
Exactly.
Protect the good stuff.
That lets you get a lot of other stuff through. But it stayed in. It made it all the way through. Oh yeah, okay, so apple bonking had become apple bucking by now.
Bonk kind of reflects the head.
Exactly. Okay, Pegasus. So this is the Fluttershy story. Pegasus bully number 1. This is, I've said this a million times. This is how we fill in the background ponies. Pegasus bully number 1. You know, Dr. Hooves is background pony number 2. He is not Dr. Hooves too. He is now after episode 100, but those were always 100% a you guys creation. They were never in the script. There is no Lyra. There is no Bon Bon. Did not
Only
exist.
Zoo.
No, that's nothing to be sad about. Yeah, exactly. That is not something to be sad about. That's amazing. That's awesome. You guys created this entire other life to this show that we didn't have. So we were focusing on the main characters, and you guys were creating this entire other half of the universe. It's just awesome. Let's see here. So here's another writing technique that I like to use. This is where the race is about to start. Rainbow Dash and the Pegasus bully stand side by side. The whole camp is gathered around them. The atmosphere is electric, like a James Dean-style street race. Rainbow Dash, or the bully says, "You're going down in history, maybe." So that made it through. So this James Dean thing, do you all know what that means? No? Are you really that young? James Dean was before my time too. So. This is a technique I like to use where, particularly in screenplays, because you have a certain amount of pages. You have this many pages to tell the story, and you can't go longer than that, or it'll get cut. So I can say this shorthand, James Dean style street race, and DHX knows exactly what that looks like. And I don't have to say, the crowd is tense, she's got a flag, the whole thing. It's just, you just say that, and they're like, boom, I got the image.
Yeah, just cite a trope.
Yeah, that's right. There's a ton of that kind of shorthand. In Magic Duel, when Rarity gets, Trixie casts a spell on Rarity, puts her in this ugly outfit. In the script, it says something like Pinkie Pie helps her away like James Brown, something like that. Like puts a cape over her and like helps her off. Another shorthand thing. James Brown again. You guys are too young. Here's more awful writing. This is the worst song in the history of music. Actually, it's not true. The song is great. The lyrics are so bad. This is the first song I ever tried to write, clearly. It's just awful. Like, it doesn't rhyme, the tenses change, it's just so bad. And my excuse is, well, Fluttershy, this is the first song she's ever sung, so she's bad. So you can see, here's all the lyrics. They were longer, like, I think. Anyways, the lyrics are there. You can see how they're written. The woodland creatures join the musical number as background dancers. Even the trees sway in time to the music, etc., etc. The song builds to a crescendo. The animals are performing a huge Broadway dance routine. Water spouts from frogs' mouths. Butterflies spin through the air. Wings sparkling like glitter. Squirrels launch each other like gymnasts. And everybody at DHX curses my name.
So are those lyrics the ones that Daniel got and he worked up with those
Yes.
exact ones?
And in these days, he basically just used whatever we wrote, unfortunately. So this garbage that I wrote is actually in the show. Again, that's different now. It doesn't work that way really anymore, but that's how it used to be. So here's another shorthand. She holds the big note. The animal's doing a spectacular Busby Berkeley type routine behind her. So that is those famous water dance musicals from like the 30s, I think, or the 20s maybe. Overhead shots of, ladies, you know what I'm talking about? And it's total shorthand. I can say Busby Berkeley and DHX. So like, yep, got it, no problem. I don't have to spell it all out. So there was originally a second song in this episode. There was a song, the little ponies in the Rarities play. They sang about the food groups. Oats and grain, grasses and hay, veggies and fruit, flowers so cute. Last but not least are sweetie sweets. These are the things that ponies eat. And again, I write sweets with eat.
Expertly executed rhyme right there.
To be fair to me, my second song I ever wrote was the Flim Flam Brothers song, which is awesome.
It is awesome. Wow.
So I learned something.
Is that still the longest song by screen time, or has that been superseded?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
It's too short, in my opinion.
It's just just have a whole episode that's just the Flim Flam Brothers singing.
So this line, again, this is the line that was written as a reaction to Rob's note. These stories aren't getting us any closer to cutie marks. They're all about finding who you really are and boring stuff like that. We need action, we need Rainbow Dash. So that addressing a note went straight through, and it really defined Scootaloo. So this is an example of like notes working beautifully with creating the story. This is how it should happen. That's why I love this episode so much. It was just such a pleasant experience. Yeah, exactly. No, it is not. I'm sorry, but it's not. This is another writing technique that I like to use. It's using a transition to create a joke that isn't actually there. So when she's like, we need action, we need Rainbow Dash, then you cut immediately to Twilight saying, as a young filly in Canterlot. So there's no real joke there, but if you put that cut in the right spot, it becomes a joke. You guys are gonna love this one. So at this point, I'm home by myself, I'm typing this up, and I'm like, I have no idea what this summer sun celebration looks like. So I'm like typing, I'm like, this, Laura? There in her ceremonial garb is Princess Celestia. Her royal guard plays a fanfare and the crowd falls silent. The princess summons everything she's got, sweating and exerting herself, focusing the glowing energy to the tip of her horn. The crowd oohs and ahs. Slowly, light starts to wash over the fairgrounds as the sun breaks heavily over the horizon. The princess seems to be using all her strength to remotely lift it into the sky. I had no idea if that was right or not. I was just kind of like, I don't know, this. So this is the note that I got. Rob says, Lauren, is this how it's done? And Lauren says, I never thought of it, but I don't see the princess straining quite so much. Plus, she supposedly does this every day. It's just at the celebration she does it for the masses. Maybe she's more Zen master about it. You can make it really girly and Sailor Moon-like. It's even better. Where the magic from within her makes her long rainbow hair whip around her and crap. and she glows all unearthly and stuff. The princess does have enormous wings too. Maybe she levitates herself. So Lauren's just like, I don't know, do this. Sailor Moon. I love that note. She gives funny notes. So this is just a slight change. Twilight, when she's trying to hatch the egg, the eggshell lies cracked on the floor. The tiny little baby Spike stretches out yawning. Twilight stares intently at him. Her horn starts to glow, brighter, brighter still. Finally, little Spike lifts off the ground. So in my draft, she was levitating, and they had me change it to actually hatching the egg, which is much better.
That's weird when you think about it. Force this
Yeah.
dragon to be born.
He's not ready. My note here is Pinkie Pie is easy to write. We'll find out why in a second, I guess. Okay, so, hey Pinkie Pie, have you seen Rainbow Dash anywhere? Sure haven't, but if I was Rainbow Dash, I'd be in Sugar Cube Corner. Of course, if I was anyone, I'd be in Sugar Cube Corner. I want to go to Sugar Cube Corner. Yeah. Sugar Cube Corner playset. I find her really easy to write because she's just, you get her, you immediately get her who she is and how she talks.
That does raise an interesting question. Does Hasbro ever mandate that you introduce new settings so that they can introduce new toys, or is it kind of the other way around where they'll just base it off of whatever is provided by the show?
It's never do this. It's, hey, could you maybe find a place to put in a hot air balloon? And I put a hot air balloon in Sonic Rainboom because it actually made a ton of sense for the story, right? They needed to get up to the clouds. It was a perfect place to put it. There's things like the Crystal Empire that they wanted, and I was not part of saying yes or no to that, but I have a feeling they could have said, no, we're not doing that. They never say, you have to do this. It's, hey, could you maybe find a spot for this?
Market research shows hot air balloons are in right now.
Yeah, exactly.
All the races girls.
An example is the train. Lauren never wanted the train in the show, but the train, I find the train so charming. I love the train. And it's so useful, getting around. But she didn't want it in the show at the beginning. Okay, so here's the first ever Game of Thrones reference from me before I'd ever even heard of Game of Thrones. Father says, we better harvest the rocks from the North Field tomorrow. Winter's coming. The Pye family is the Starks. That's right. Oh, okay, so this is another thing that I just kind of added in. Pinkie Pie's voiceover. She's saying, my only friends were the rockmen. They were such nice gentlemen. Above that. With some furtive glances around, she sneaks away from the other pies, rounding a massive stone to get some privacy. Behind it sits an army of little rockmen, thick snowmen made of stone. My only friends were the rockmen. They were such nice gentlemen. They lived in little rock houses and had little rock dogs, and Scoozle interrupts because Pinkie Pie's going off on a tangent. And she's like, wait a minute. And they wanted me to cut this because of the word men. So, same as I
reference
thought.
to humanity.
Yeah, exactly. So that went away. Okay, here's what I was talking about earlier with Pinkie Pie's kind of like smile, that iconic image. In the script it says her eyes go wide as a brilliant glowing rainbow opens up in the sky, casting a spectacular array of color over the dismal rock farm. Her pupils dilate, her jaw hangs open, and we're watching her mind expand. They took that and they made that like awesome image that we've all seen so many times. Okay, so this is, Mother says, Pinkie Pie, is that you? And Lauren's note was, is there any way for Mom to call her something more formal? Oh, no, this is Rob, Pinkerton or Pinkley. Lauren, any ideas? Just seems like Pinkie is too frivolous a name for them to give her. So Lauren wrote back with a list of possibilities. Pinkephany, Pinkelope, Pinkamena, Pinkadoja, Pinkietta, Pinkatha, Pinkabeth, Pinkonia. So out of that list, I picked Pinkamena. I put that in, and then Diane, Pinkamena Diane Pie. Diane is like my favorite aunt. So I wanted a really human name for her middle name.
I still love that the fan names before we knew the canon names for her siblings were all the Pac-Man ghosts.
Yeah, that is kind of like that too.
Yeah, where is Clyde? Question.
This is a little hard to explain, but this is what I try to always do with my writing is surprise myself. It's weird to say because I'm the one controlling the keys, but this line where we cut back and Pinkie Pie says that's how the Western was made. When I wrote that, I was like, oh, that's good. I didn't think that I was going to write that. It just kind of came out, and that's what I always try to do is like, I guess let the subconscious do some of the work because if you can surprise yourself, then you can probably surprise whoever's going to read it. And I just love that line. I think that line is so Pinkie Pie. It kind of calls into question the entire story she's just told. I love that line. Oh my gosh. Sorry guys, I'm gonna have to blaze through this. Okay, and then there's the uncanny. There's a couple X-Men references. This is uncanny, and then the school for whatever. Those are unintentional. I don't know anything about X-Men. I'm gonna go really fast here. That's not even interesting. Notes, or sorry, questions. Okay, so this is an email from the notes I got from Rob and Lauren when I'm rewriting the script. In the Applejack scene, I'm not familiar with Angel. Is there anything special I should add about him or her, or is it enough for the board artist if I just say that Angel is the ringleader? They wanted me to put Angel in, and I had no idea who that is. If he's a male or female, I didn't know. And then clearly I was cheating with the whole Fluttershy calms the animals bit. Any suggestions on what this might look like? Is it a situation where she almost has a magical touch, like she places a hoof on the animals and the touch calms them? Or is it her tone of voice? Not sure if you guys ever displayed this sort of behavior from me before or what it might look like. So there's another situation where I was like, I don't have any idea how she calms the animals. I'm gonna go really fast on this one. Okay, there's not many anyways. This is the final draft, and it's way too long. It's 40 pages. Most of my scripts. Lauren put me on a strict 30-page limit. My scripts, for whatever reason, came in long. Not page-wise, but when they animated them, they ended up being longer than 22 minutes. So she would not let me go over 30 pages. That's nice. Skip that. Development of Fluttershy's powers. Okay, so you can see these colors here. This is in this is, I think, see what I've changed. All these little stars on the side, that's where I've changed a line. And the blue. Revisions. And unfortunately, none of this song changed.
Which song is that?
So Many Wonders.
Oh, right. Oh.
This is where she starts to calm the animals. Her eyes open and she calmly heads into the chaos. She approaches some screaming frogs and why did the screaming frogs get cut? That should have been in there.
Yeah.
Calmly places a hoof on their head. She leans in close and whispers to them. Almost immediately, they calm down and resume their tranquil croaking. Staying cool, she makes her way through the meadow, spreading peacefulness. The touch of her hoof settles the birds down. The serenity of her whispers settles the bees down. Every animal she comes in contact with responds instantly to her magical power. So it was developing along the way. And again, that's the soul of who she is. It was kind of being formed as we went. Here's Tooting My Own Horn, a rarity line that I love. Scooter, come on, more sappy singing? It's not about the singing, darling, it's about the fashion. I love that line. That's very rarity. And I said here, I would write that line today. So the dumb rock thing came out of a note. To make this more dramatic, they wanted her like reveal of her destiny to be super dramatic. So I wrote it really dramatically. Wind gusts as she tentatively navigates the rocky ground. My destiny. The music swells dramatically as the glowing horn leads her straight to ... the giant rock. Record scratch. A rock. That's my destiny? What's your problem, horn? I followed you all the way out here for a rock. Deflated Rarity sulks, she kicks the rock. Dumb rock. And the song happens. So that was a note, and it kind of became that. Some cop dialogue. Didn't make it in. So this is at the end of Rarity's play. The teacher says, places everyone, first position is meant to Rarity. I do hope everybody's ready. I just caught Pinkie Pie eating her script. That got cut. And then this is the last thing I'll show you when you go to questions, but I'm not even gonna show you. This is where I just wrote Pinkie to Diane Pie. So her name came out of a combination of Lauren trying to think of a longer, more formal name for Pinkie and my aunt. So there you have it. That's basically it.
Does your aunt know that she's a Pinkie?
Yes. I did this panel. I did the panel in Minneapolis, and she was there. I was there.
Oh, wow.
And so she got to see it.
All right, so we have about 11 minutes for questions. So we'll do hand raises. We'll point it out just to state the obvious. Keep it PG, keep it concise, and keep it relevant. So let's start with...
There's two guys back there who wanted like a long time ago.
Yeah.
I think that guy, right?
You with the...
With the hat?
Yes.
What's the point of the rock farm? I used to have a theory that they grew the rocks.
See, that's up to you. You could work for Hasbro.
Why do they have a rock farm place at?
If I try to explain it, then it just doesn't work anymore. That's why I love that they let that actually happen, because it doesn't make any sense, and it shouldn't make any sense. I can't remember who the other guy was back there.
I just want to make a joke about Taylor's teeth, but...
Oh.
Other guy with the
The
hat.
man of the past.
The green wide brim hat, yeah.
You were talking earlier about, when flood does follow, it's like, okay, it falls wrong, we know it.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you ever, like, when you're writing, do you ever feel like in a situation like that, you can actually make the stakes higher than you would in a situation where it's not a flashback, because you're not going to traumatize kids with the emotions or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, you don't worry about traumatizing kids. Because, come on, it's a commercial, but we all know what it is. You have to raise the drama at the end of the act, but we all know it's My Little Pony. It's not like it's The Americans or Breaking Bad or something where Fluttershy might actually die. You do try to raise the stakes, but we all know what's going to happen. It's not that kind of show. So it's not, you never really worry about traumatizing kids. At least I don't. They shouldn't be watching this show anyway.
Let's go with Kristen's.
What did Daniel Abraham think of your Fluttershy song?
I have no idea. I don't want to know.
I think he made it work.
I've only met him once. He's in Vancouver and I live in Los Angeles, so that's the other weird thing about the show is the writers are in a different country than the entire rest of the show. Us and Tara Strong are here. Everybody else is in Canada.
You, your arm up with the sleeve in the vest.
So violence is not really a good thing in the show. How the heck are you really get past the season 4 finale?
Violence? I had nothing to do with the season 4 finale, so it's hard for me to comment on. I wouldn't have written that. I'm not a huge fan of the epic battle stuff on this show.
Oh, that was the Dragon Ball Z battle. Wasn't
Yeah,
it?
and I know for a lot of people that's their favorite episode of the show. It's personally not my taste. I much prefer something like this, sweet, small. So I didn't write it, and I can't really comment on it because.
Well, then you're the right answer on that.
It's not my first choice. I'll say that.
Fluttershy up front.
You mean the design of him? It is. Are you talking about an episode 100 or is this before
That's
that?
100 mil, that is.
Oh, really? It's entirely, I can only comment on episode 100 because I wrote that, but all the other previous appearances of him is strictly the art team. I have nothing to do with that. I'm sure there's Doctor Who fans. There's no question in Canada. As for the episode 100, I wrote him. This is another thing I do all the time. Is I write a character to a voice of somebody that I think is good for that character, but I don't tell the actor who I was thinking of. So I wrote Doctor Who's as Doc Brown from Back to the Future, but I didn't tell Peter knew that. So he created his own voice for the character. And Minuets and Offending Fences, I wrote her. You should watch the episode again with this in mind. I wrote her as John Candy from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. But didn't tell the actress. The actor didn't come up with their own take on it. The dialogue in my head was John Candy. So I do that all the time. And for me, it wasn't Doctor Who, because I don't know anything about Doctor Who. I wrote him as Doc Brown. And then they added all the stuff like, actually the scarf I did write in, but the other things was people in Canada who were fans. Good.
You're over. Guy in the purple shirt back there.
So thanks for the stuff on the street. Just to ask, how do you do the same time with different visitors?
I tried to do Return of Harmony in Amsterdam, but it's a 2-part episode, and it was chaos. I just couldn't, yeah, exactly, right?
Was there a convention in Amsterdam?
There was a convention in Amsterdam, yeah, it's the 3rd year of it. I went over there. I could do it with the 100th episode. It was better in these days because it was more of a pure storytelling creation. And just showing you the notes now would take the whole hour. But I tried it with Return of Harmony and it was just way too long. This one's too long, it's only 22 minutes.
You were with the topless hat.
I kind of forced the issue in that one because I'll try to keep this quick because I'm sure a lot of you have heard this before. I did not want to do that episode at all. I thought it was a really bad idea. I had 3 meetings with Hasbro. I told them that we should not do this because, like I said, you guys created those characters, and I'm like, who am I to come in and say, nope, you're wrong. Lyra's not who you think she is. She's who I think she is. I thought it was really rude and a bad idea, and I didn't want to do it. And I told them we shouldn't do this, and they're like, do it. And then I'll never forget, there was a Saturday afternoon, I was sitting in my office, it was really late, and it was an afternoon, but it was late. The episode was late already. And I was like, oh, this is a 100th episode, this is like a special episode, let's just do a Brony episode. Like, I'm not gonna try to have this be a regular episode. This is gonna be for the fans. And that was like a light bulb. And then I was like, I'm jamming this thing full of everything I can possibly think of. As an example, you know, the outline I showed you is 5 pages. Every outline I've ever written for the show is 5 pages long, because that's how you time the episode. The outline for that episode, which is still 22 minutes, was 10 pages long. So that's how fast it was intended to be. And I sent an email, I forced it because DHX didn't want to do my version of it. And I sent an email to everybody saying, this is what it is, and you need to put more in. And so they added the shark jump, and they added the horse mask thing. I sent an email to Hasbro and DHX like, more. Any reference you think, put it in there.
Guy with the black shirt in the back there. You, yes. Yes.
So you said that you wrote all your
Oh, guy behind you, actually. Sorry. Then we'll do you.
Yeah, you, then you. Changeling.
I was just curious.
Oh, sorry.
Oh man, so many black shirts. It's you.
Yeah, guy talking, keep going. No, you who was just talking, keep talking.
I was just curious, now that we've gotten to really know Keith High's family, I was just curious how much involvement you had in creating her family, or was that something that kind of, by that point, involved 50 people?
Just this. I've never written another episode with her family, as far as I know. Nothing to do with it. Just this. So it's just showing them kind of. It's almost like she was coming out to them, you know, as a party pony. Are they going to accept me for who I am or not? And then there's that moment where their smiles are kind of forming, and they do. They accept her for being different from them. So that was it. That was my only real involvement with them.
So the other guy that was wearing black before. Sorry.
So you said that you wrote all your characters with a certain voice in mind. What voice in mind did you have when you were writing Sweetie Drops of Baltimore?
That whole scene is, there's a movie in the 90s called True Lies. That scene is True Lies. And I'll tell you where that came from, because, you know, I had nothing to go on. They told me you're writing the background pony episode. I'm like, they're not background characters, they're designs, you know, they have no personality to me. And so I watched all the episodes again, and I was like, she has like 8 different voices. She has 2 names, like what's she hiding? So that's where that whole scene came from, was like Sweet Drops is hiding something. So there's something going on with her, and then it kind of spun into True Lies.
All right, we're gonna do 2 more really quick questions. So, Changeling, you did have one? Okay, yeah, we'll do yours. Yes.
Will we be getting some official canon backstory on the Changeling or episode 100?
What are you saying?
Say a bit louder.
Backstory.
The backstory of the Changeling?
Yeah.
I'm really happy this got changed. This is actually a note I'm happy they gave me. My original ending of the episode was the main 6 trapped outside saying, we're so lucky to live in this town. Cut wide, it's just beautiful sunset, and then a swarm of changelings.
Well, there was that joke after the royal wedding that every duplicate background pony you saw was actually just a changeling. That was one of my favorite headcanons there.
So that got cut, thankfully. So I just put one of them inside. It's just a joke. There was also, speaking of background pony recolors, there was a joke that Sipsy came up with that was awesome that they cut. I don't know why. But 2 groups of the background ponies are the same design, different colors, walk up to each other and they stop and they go, this is embarrassing.
That would have been sad.
There's a lot of funny stuff that got cut out of that episode.
All right, last one. Guy with the gray shirt with the luscious long hair.
At a previous BronyCon, you mentioned a pitch episode that you pitched that was shot up on Philadelphia Ragtime.
Yeah, awesome.
Was there any other ideas you thought were really good that got cut, like other episode ideas?
Gosh, there's so many that get cut. There's so many that are bad. Man, I don't know. Not as good as that one. That one I was like, this is a slam dunk. This is a great episode. I had one where Big Macintosh, because in season 5 they really wanted us to play up Twilight's transitioning into becoming a princess. And I pitched one where Big Macintosh, she was holding tryouts for a guard. She needed a guard, right? She's a princess, she needs guards. And Big Macintosh finally revealed that his lifelong secret dream was to be a royal guard. So he goes and kind of tries out, and she feels like obligated to take him. And it didn't work out at all. And then she's in this position of like, he's one of my best friend's brother, and what am I supposed to do here? He's not good at this. So I pitched that, which I thought was kind of a sweet episode. Do you guys know Philadelphia Ragtime? Have I told you all this before? I'll tell you really quick, because this is my favorite episode that they killed. It was a map episode. Applejack and Rarity get called to Philadelphia, which we'd never seen before. And they get there, and they're like, what are we supposed to do? They see a huge crowd gathered. They go over, and it's Flam. And he's just been elected mayor of Philadelphia. And he's saying, my first act is to outlaw cider from Philadelphia. So Applejack's like, well, this will ruin the farm. You know, we rely on exports to Philadelphia to keep the farm, because they rely on so much to keep the farm afloat. So she becomes a bootlegger.
We needed a prohibition episode, I think you're right.
She's bringing cider into town, and in the meantime, Rarity pretends to be interested in Flim, who is the sort of the chief of staff or whatever. He's like Flam's right-hand man. So she becomes like a Mata Hari character, where she kind of romances Flim to get information on what their secret plan is. And it was gonna have all this jangly piano music, and it was gonna be great, but it was too adult.
I would have loved this.
So that one got killed. So, and I can tell you this because it will never get made.
There you go. You got the freedom to say that. Someone will do it. All right, well, that's pretty much all the time we have. That's the panel. So thank you.
Thanks, guys. Yeah. Now you can all go down to booth 404 and buy my book.
Yeah, do it. All right, and big thanks again to M.A. Larson.
Thanks, guys.